Hello, good morning. This is Roy from Tesla Owners US, and I still owe you the statistics of yesterday, and I give you that. And that comes after the intro, and then we have a new day of Labor Day challenge driving. More than 1,000 miles with an SUV with the 100D and a trailer behind.
Hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. All the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life.
So for the statistic from yesterday, I made a copy of that. So we drove totally 415 miles, and we had 326 kilowatt per mile, a kilowatt used, and it was 787 watts per mile. That's quite a lot. So, but I calculated now with 800 watt per mile, and I'm running pretty good with 800 watt per mile on this. And sometimes we drove 60 miles per hour. Sometimes we had to drive 50 miles per hour, depending also from the condition. There was one piece where we had to really up climb a little bit. But we made it, 11 miles left there, as you have seen, and that was the end of last day. And today is a new day. We just came from the RV park. I'll give you some pictures, and the RV park is very close to the Amarillo International Airport. Funny, it is an international airport, because just next to the airport is the facility where I worked in, where the V22 is built, including the V22 called also Osprey. That's the vertical lift helicopter airplane. And yes, I put you a picture in there for that. Nice RV park. We had a good sleep even when we arrived late, and now we are on a new trip. This day is not so long because we have to stop at an RV park because we have to use the 50 amp outlet there and charge in between, because we might not make it from Amarillo to Tucumcari, because that's the next charger where it is, and we're gonna go to Tucumcari. From there we're gonna go to Santa Rosa, and then we go to Happy Trails RV park there and charge overnight again. Yeah, and as well, coming up now in a couple of pictures, I show you some video in between, give some informations in between, and stay tuned. Guys, here's the side where the Cadillacs got stuck in the ground, and actually this is the best thing what you can do with a gasoline car. Just stuck it in the ground. Guys, when you eat the next time a steak, look where this is coming from. This is all cattle, just a side of the road, just close to each other, and it really is smelly as well. So when you think about eating a steak next time, that might not be that cow which is on the green field. Yeah, so that's how it looks like in Texas, driving down the highway. Dancing with the Wolves. Erinnert mich an Dancing with the Wolves.
I guess it can be bad sometimes, don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, we had a long stay at Midpoint or Adrian, Texas. So instead of driving to the Amarillo supercharger, what we did there is we stayed at Midpoint, which is actually closer towards Tucumcari. And we had about 4.5 hours. We stayed there at the 50 amp outlet, which is about 10 kilowatt charging per hour. And we charged there quite pretty good. And then we looked around the town, and I'm gonna show you some pictures there around that town. And the funny thing is, a good friend of mine, Ovi, he visited the same town, and we had breakfast unintentionally from the same town as well, or from the same restaurant there. It was called the Midpoint Restaurant. That's why the Midpoint, because that was the midpoint of Route 66. And it's 1139 miles towards Los Angeles or 1139 miles towards Chicago. That's why it's called the Midpoint Restaurant. So that's in a very tiny town on Old Business 40 or Route 66. So now most of the time is Business 40 or Interstate 40. We are now approaching the border. I'm gonna show you the picture of the border. The border from Texas to New Mexico. Here we go. Here's New Mexico. Oops. That is New Mexico. Free maps available. Approaching New Mexico. Here's the welcome sign from New Mexico. So after leaving Texas, now the truck is right in front of us. Here it is, New Mexico. So there we will stay for 2 days. We're gonna take a longer break there. Here's the welcome center of New Mexico. Now, it doesn't look any different than the northwestern part of Texas. Pretty flat land, grassland, a little bit dry. Okay, we made it again. Supercharger, and this time, like I spec'd it out, it's just the right thing to do. So, because all chargers are on the right, and here, yes, plugged in. So now we are do not disturb anybody. We come from the back in and have our trailer just next to the wall, and then there's still enough place for everybody to charge here. But there's actually nobody here. Oh, nice charge rate, 129 kilowatt. That's at optimum 20%. Yeah, we keep going. That was easy for the supercharger in Tucumcari, just straight through, and then later there was a Model 3 came there, but he entered from the other side, and the charging was done in 30 minutes because we only have to drive another 50 miles, 60 miles, or 50, 60 miles or so to Santa Rosa supercharger. And then we were staying a little longer, and we have a dinner there. And then we had to fill up our booze, and we did a little detour to a Lowe's supermarket there. Bought beer, wine, and champagne for the next days where we're staying at the RV parks and relaxing. That was good. And here is New Mexico. Let me show you towards the end of this day. It's about 5:45 here in New Mexico. So let's see how is the next supercharger is also right side. So the chargers are not in the back, they are in the front. And there are 3 cars currently at that supercharger. I hope there will be lesser than that when we arrive, and we see. adventure for today. Santa Rosa, and ideally again they are in front, 2 of them in the back, but I took the first one here and did a wide swing here around and then got here. To get out of that, it should not be that difficult. So now from here, nicely parked, then when I back up, I have to turn a little bit in and ask my wife to get me out so that we can turn in this direction and get out again.